Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast is number 1595. The topic is nutrition, and the title is Proper Nutrition Across All Languages. So this actually came up in a conversation between my wife and I, Meredith and I. So sometimes we do what we call relaxing work. Is in the evening, she has some things she wants to finish up from work. I have client check-ins and whatnot, and we just kind of watch some TV in the background, chit-chat a little bit about our day, and just do a little bit of work. From time to time, we've talked about where, maybe a client is eating something, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat, like this would be a good meal for me, or, oh, I should tell another client about that, and I'll just kind of remark here and there. And one of the times we were talking about was the uniqueness of coaching people across multiple languages. So I've been very blessed through the podcast and through social media to get to work with people in many countries. So, of course, all across the United States. So thank you very much. Awesome. But also Austria, Australia, Canada, Costa Rica, France, Mexico, Spain, the UK, and a couple other places. But it's been super fun to get to work with people all over the world. Super blessed. Absolutely love it. Amazing. Never would have thought that was possible. And one of the things that's kind of cool about it is not only in the sense that all the clients are able to write and read in English, thank God, because I definitely don't know all of the different languages. But one aspect that's kind of neat is how language is involved, but actually how it's not involved in proper nutrition. So what do I mean by this? Is in podcast 1232, I talk about it all the time. It's a nutrition podcast titled Start Here. You can find that on our website, www.brutalirongym.com. It teaches you what's important when it comes to nutrition. It's literally a step-by-step guide of how I set up nutrition programs for clients, therefore you can do it for yourself. And it's what I look at when I review their nutrition entries. So it's, a cheat code for writing your own nutrition program. Really freaking helpful podcast. So, what's also neat is then whenever I'm doing it with clients is we do weekly check-ins. So once a week, sometime within the week, once a week, I log in we have a Google Doc that they can just write in 24/7. They can write in any questions they have. And then also in that document, if I'm coaching the client for training as well, I do video reviews and I write those video reviews in there. But we also do our nutrition check-ins. So I'll have that document open. And then I also go into whatever nutrition tracking app the client is using, whether it's MyFitnessPal, My Macros, there's about 4 million of them. So I just have the client tell me, hey, what app are you using? And then what's your login information. So I log into their app, and I look at each day. I look at the calories that they're eating the day, the protein throughout the day, but I look at each day, and I give feedback on each individual day. And then as well, I answer any questions they have in the document every single week. So when I'm looking through their nutrition, what do I look at? I look at daily calories, daily protein. And then I look at the distribution of their calories and protein throughout the day and per meal. So did they blend their protein throughout the day? Did they blend their calories throughout the day? Maybe they're an aesthetic athlete, performance athlete. We want specifically a higher percentage of calories and protein around time of training. Maybe we're front-loading the training with carbs, back-loading the training with protein. So there's a lot of complexity and uniqueness to how each person is doing their nutrition. But I look at that. I look and say, okay, not only the daily totals, but also what are their totals throughout the day, based on timing of the day, based on the meal. So do they have a meal that's, 600 calories and only 10 grams of protein? Not good. So I look at the distribution per meal as well. Then I typically look at sugars just to see where their sugar intake is. And then from there, it's kind of individual dependent. If somebody's super hungry between their meals, I'll look and see, okay, of the meals they're eating, how many grams of fat versus how many grams of carbs are in those meals. Maybe we can push that balance more into fats, have more fats per meal, and that'll slow down digestion, and therefore they won't be so hungry. Or maybe they're too full. Maybe they're not hungry enough for the next meal. Well, we'll look at that carb and fat balance, and maybe we try to push more towards carbs to get faster digesting meals, and therefore they'll feel a little hungrier. Maybe the client wants to look leaner. And I'm like, okay, well, let's look at your carb timing. If you're having really a lot of carbs, if you're carb heavy in the evenings, we'll switch to have more protein and fats in the evening, and that can allow them to look leaner without having to reduce overall calories. So it's kind of fun. That's basically what I do. Is what I look at is the structure and the schedule of the foods they're eating, not actually the foods themselves. So some of my clients write in Spanish, so their foods are in Spanish, which I don't understand. Some of my clients write in French, so that's neat. It's fun to see, in the different languages. It's fun to see the way the foods are, like what the foods are in like the native language, and I can definitely Google when I want to or need to see what the food is, But in general, most of the time, I actually don't know what each individual food item is that my clients are eating. Unless there's obviously like a specific issue, then yes, I will Google the hell out of all of it and we'll figure it out. But in general, if their native language is French, they just write in French. If their native language is Spanish, they write in Spanish. So I just have them do whatever is easy for them. And what I look at is the schedule and the structure of the food. So often people worry about the what of what they're eating. But the what of what you eat doesn't actually really matter much. Very little. It's more about what's in what you eat. Calories, protein, carbs, fats, sugars. The structure, the makeup of the food is what matters, not really the food. If something has 200 calories, there's 12 grams of protein, X grams of carbs, X grams of fats. Doesn't matter what we call that food. If you know the calories, the grams of fats, grams of carbs, and the protein, and the sugar, you're going to know what that food is doing in the body. The balance between all of those elements is what tells you what that food is going to do, not the name of the food. So it more so matters what's in what you eat and when you eat it. That's what matters. You're looking at daily totals of calories, protein, and then if you're controlling your calories and protein, the amount of carbs and fats don't really matter, except for if you're having hunger issues, digestion issues, energy issues, then maybe you start to tweak those around. But there's no perfect percentage of calories coming from fat, perfect percentage of calories coming from carbs. In no way whatsoever does that need to be specified. They've done a billion studies, and they have proven that you can lose weight or gain, healthy muscle tissue with weight control. You can manipulate the weight of your body by having any kind of carb-fat balance in your diet, assuming total calories are correct and protein is correct. So the amount of carbs and fats is really just dependent on each individual's preferences and kind of what fits their needs throughout the day individually. So it's daily totals and distribution. It's what's in what you eat and when you eat that matters. It's fun to be able to help people in many languages. And what makes that possible is that the language of nutrition is universal. Calories, grams of protein, grams of fats, grams of carbs, how much sugar is in the food you're eating, when are you eating it, when is it distributed throughout your day, those elements are universal. They're not language specific, which makes it amazing and it's super fun and exciting because it allows me to help people all over the world. And I am just beyond blessed, beyond excited, beyond happy and grateful that that's possible. It's super exciting. And it's really kind of neat. So it's fun. I lost the newness or the uniqueness of that because I've just been doing it forever. But when my wife pointed out, she goes, that's actually really cool. And I don't know if a lot of people would notice that or would know that. And I'm like, you know what? You're probably true. People probably don't realize that you can coach people in any language for nutrition and that the language doesn't really matter. Like there's definitely, language importance if we want to talk about some things, in their daily life. But the language of food is universal. And that's really pretty cool. So, if that's new to you and you didn't know that that's how you can kind of track and understand nutrition, well, it is. So, if you want to, achieve a specific goal, performance or aesthetics, if you want to just be healthier, if you want to learn more about nutrition and how it impacts your body. Knowing what's most important and what's most impactful is incredibly helpful. Is that where you're focusing on the right things? So podcast 1232, Nutrition Podcast, that'll start here, will tell you what's most impactful and most important. So listen to that, follow it, and remember, it's not what you eat, it's what's in what you eat and when you eat it. That's what matters most. Awesome. So I thought that was fun. If you have any questions or if you need any help or anything, just shoot me an email at brutalirongym@gmail.com. I'm always here. That's what the podcast is for, just to help answer any questions, help with anything that you want or need to help you live the healthiest and happiest life. And then if you do like our podcast, please share it. If you share it on social media, that reaches the most amount of people. And when you do share it, let people know that we answer questions for free. So anything they want to learn about, they can send in a question and I'll make a podcast for them. Thank you to those who donate to support the podcast. That way we can actually do that. So I appreciate it. There's a high host cost for the podcast every year. I give an hour to it every day. So I do genuinely appreciate the donations. They help significantly, so thank you very much. If you do want to donate, you can do so on our website, www.brutalirongym.com. Even just $5 a month absolutely does add up, absolutely helps. Also, if you like the information we share in our podcast, you can find more from us on our social media channels. On Instagram, I post every single day. On YouTube, I post a lot. So find us and follow us under the name Brutal Iron Gym. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.